You've been giving away your power your whole life, and most of the time, you didn't even notice it. Every time you reacted to someone who didn't deserve it. Every time you explained yourself to people who would never understand. Every moment you allowed someone else's words or actions to disturb your peace, you surrendered a piece of your freedom. The world kept moving, indifferent to the battles you carried inside your mind. And yet, the power you've been seeking has always been within you, quiet, steady, unshakable, waiting for you to claim it. Stoicism teaches that nothing external can harm you unless you allow it. The moment you guard your attention, restrain your reactions, and hold your peace as sacred, you reclaim the authority that was never meant to leave your hands. True strength is silent. True freedom is deliberate. Every choice to protect your energy, every pause before reacting, every measured moment of restraint builds the life you were capable of living all along. It is in these moments of quiet intention that clarity emerges, priorities become clear, and the distractions that once dictated your thoughts begin to fade. Strength, after all, is not in force or volume. It is in the calm mastery of self. Every word you speak, every argument you join, every reaction you offer carries weight. But often it is weight that does not belong to you. It clogs your thoughts, drains your energy, and keeps you tethered to matters that will never serve your life. You feel compelled to explain, to correct, to justify, but the only person who truly needs understanding is yourself. Your time, your attention, and your calm are rare forms of wealth. Once given freely to the unworthy, they cannot be reclaimed. Think of attention as currency. When spent on those who demand it without return, it is lost. When invested in people and pursuits aligned with your purpose, it compounds, enriching your mind and your life. Each reaction given without thought is a withdrawal from your account. Over time, your reserves are depleted. Conserving attention is not weakness, it is mastery. Imagine someone attempting to provoke you. Their words are designed to pull you into a whirlwind that benefits only them. Every time you react, you confirm their influence. But when you withhold a response, you deny them that power. They are left confused, uncertain, trapped in the void you create. Meanwhile, your mind remains clear. Your heart stays steady, your energy intact. What they hope to steal returns to you, multiplied by restraint. When people try to pull you into conflict, they reveal themselves, not you. Their need for attention, dependence on drama, and compulsion to validate themselves become clear. The more you resist responding, the more evident it becomes that their attempts have no effect. The quiet observer holds the advantage because they operate from control, not reaction. Every pause, every withheld word, every measured silence becomes a shield. Within that shield, you are untouchable. You may wonder if indifference appears cold or uncaring. It is anything but. It is a conscious choice to protect your inner state, to prioritize what matters, to live according to values rather than impulses. Caring selectively, engaging purposefully, and investing only in what is meaningful forms the foundation of resilience. It creates a life where external chaos touches you lightly, if at all, because you have chosen which forces deserve space in your consciousness. If you value your focus, your calm, and the mastery of your own mind, consider subscribing. It's a deliberate step toward living intentionally, protecting your energy, and embracing the quiet strength that comes from self-mastery. The power of choice manifests most clearly in the small, repeated decisions, the messages left unanswered, the arguments avoided, the debates declined. Each time you refrain from giving away your attention, you strengthen your sovereignty. You build an internal fortress that is impervious to manipulation, immune to distraction, and impervious to the trivial demands of others. The fortress is not built with walls of hostility, but with boundaries of discernment, with habits of reflection, and with the deliberate allocation of energy. Understanding your triggers is essential. The situations that provoke anger, The words that spark defensiveness, the criticism that unsettles you, these are the points where control can slip. To master yourself is not to avoid these triggers, but to meet them with measured response, with calm observation, and ultimately with the choice to do nothing. Every time someone calls your name in accusation or attempts to elicit reaction, you decide whether it is worthy of your attention. That decision is your power. Silence has consequences that words cannot replicate. It is a mirror in which others see themselves, not you. It denies them validation, leaves them suspended in uncertainty, and reveals the futility of their attempts to manipulate. While they expend effort trying to elicit a response, you preserve your focus, energy, and clarity. Time spent in restraint is not wasted. It is invested in your growth, your understanding, and your unshakable composure. To act without reaction, to exist without compulsion, is to live aligned with principle rather than impulse. You begin to observe life rather than be pulled into it. You conserve energy for matters that serve your purpose and release the illusion of obligation to those who demand it without merit. Each withheld response reinforces your autonomy, each moment of restraint strengthens your inner stability, and each conscious choice not to engage preserves your peace. Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." By resisting the compulsion to explain, defend, or react, you discover the true contours of your own mind. You see clearly where your energy is spent, what you value, and which interactions matter. You cultivate clarity, resilience, and discernment. The act of ignoring the unnecessary, of refusing to react, becomes a mirror, reflecting not the chaos of the world, but the stability of your own reason. By choosing where your attention goes, by selecting which provocations you meet and which you let pass, you reclaim your life. You become the architect of your mental landscape, the guardian of your calm, the master of your inner state. Every interaction, every potential disturbance is filtered through judgment aligned with purpose. The discipline of non-reaction, of measured silence, transforms the ordinary into opportunity and the chaotic into manageable. This is the beginning of mastery, not mastery over others, but over self. The strength to remain unmoved, the clarity to see value, and the patience to conserve energy form the foundation of inner power. Each choice, each deliberate moment of restraint brings you closer to the life you were capable of living all along. Seneca once said, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality." By learning not to react, you reduce unnecessary suffering. You discover that most disturbances have power only if you grant them entry. By withholding reaction, you deny them. You return focus to your goals, your purpose, your serenity. This is not avoidance, it is strategy. This is self-mastery. When you stop giving away pieces of yourself in fruitless conflict, when you guard your attention as a sacred resource, and when you choose silence over reaction, you are no longer at the mercy of the world. You move deliberately, act with purpose, and conserve what is truly yours. The strength to withhold, the courage to ignore, and the wisdom to remain unmoved form the essence of living a life of reason, freedom, and stoic power. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." By exercising restraint, you exercise freedom. Every moment you resist the pull of unnecessary engagement, you reclaim energy, preserve calm, and assert your sovereignty. Reaction is a choice, and by choosing carefully, you choose the life you wish to lead. Attention is a form of currency. Every glance, every word, every moment spent on someone is an investment. Unlike money, it cannot be earned back once spent, and yet most of us give it away carelessly, hoping for gratitude, recognition, or approval that rarely arrives. The effort poured into justifying ourselves, explaining our choices, or reacting to provocations is returned in chaos, distraction, or frustration. And the truth is, No one benefits more from that exchange than the one who disrupts your calm. When you guard your attention, when you choose silence over reaction, you reclaim the control that has been quietly slipping from your hands. The power is not in engaging, but in discerning where your energy matters and where it does not. Each moment spent deliberately, each interaction chosen carefully, is a reinforcement of autonomy. Every withheld response is a reclaiming of your own life, an assertion that your inner state is not a resource to be exploited by anyone who happens to demand it. Consider the people who constantly pull at your focus, the ones who thrive on drama, the ones who feed on conflict, the ones who seek validation by drawing you into their turbulence. Each time you respond, each time you react, you give them proof that they have control. But when you choose not to, when your attention becomes a scarce commodity, the balance shifts. The energy they expected to draw from you is no longer available, and the consequences are not obvious at first, but they are profound. The discipline to guard attention is not about ignoring responsibilities or abandoning care. It is about prioritizing what aligns with your purpose and values. It is about recognizing that your energy is finite and precious, and that its allocation is a reflection of your priorities. By treating attention as sacred, you enforce a standard for interactions, one that discourages exploitation and encourages meaningful engagement. When every word, glance, and gesture is intentional, the world begins to operate under your terms, and you reclaim a quiet authority over your life. Imagine the difference it would make if every conversation you entered, every response you considered, was measured against a single question. Does this deserve my attention? The habitual reflex to react, to explain, to justify, fades when faced with deliberate choice. In its place emerges clarity, presence, and control. The moments that once scattered your focus are transformed into opportunities for growth, understanding, and composure. You begin to move through life not at the mercy of distraction, but as a steward of your own energy. Every refusal to engage unnecessarily is a statement of value. By withholding attention from those who seek to exploit it, you signal that your calm and focus are not negotiable. The response, or absence of it, becomes more powerful than any argument, more effective than any explanation. Others may attempt to provoke or demand your energy, but in choosing not to provide it, you retain your sovereignty. The quiet observer, untouched by drama and undistracted by trivialities, exerts influence simply by being controlled, deliberate, and unreactive. Carl Jung once said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." When you engage reflexively, you allow transformation according to external influence. But when attention is guarded, when reactions are withheld, transformation occurs on your terms. You become the agent of change in your own life, rather than the instrument of someone else's impulses. Silence and measured presence create a power that cannot be taken, a space where your purpose remains undisturbed. Seneca once said, "We are always complaining that our days are few and acting as though there would be no end of them." The same principle applies to attention and energy. Time and focus are limited. Their expenditure without reflection is a kind of theft from yourself. By being selective, by choosing where to engage and where to remain silent, you recover that which would otherwise be lost. You convert fleeting moments into lasting influence, inconsequential reactions into deliberate power. The quiet mastery of attention is the cornerstone of self-mastery itself. Consider how different your life would feel if each interaction was deliberate rather than reflexive. If each glance, each conversation, each decision to respond or remain silent was measured, you would discover an unseen strength. The world may still move unpredictably, but your inner state would remain constant, unshaken, and sovereign. Attention given selectively is influence earned naturally. Energy preserved becomes the soil in which purpose and achievement grow. By treating attention as currency, by investing only in what matters, you shape a life governed by intention rather than compulsion. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Guarding attention is mastery. Choosing silence over reaction is freedom. By reclaiming the moments that others hope to exploit, by discerning where focus belongs, you create a life where chaos, provocation, and distraction hold no dominion. The discipline to protect your energy is the foundation of all self-mastery. With each deliberate pause, each measured engagement, you assert the freedom that has always been yours, and you cultivate a mind that is unassailable, calm, and unshakable. From this place of intentional attention, everything else follows. Decisions become clearer, priorities more evident, and actions more potent. By refusing to invest in the unworthy, you make room for what truly matters. You reclaim power that was never meant to leave your hands. Each choice to guard your attention compounds into a life of focus, clarity, and inner freedom. The world will attempt to pull you into reaction, but when you move deliberately, when your energy is reserved for what is meaningful, you navigate it on your own terms. The mastery of attention is the mastery of life itself. There is a subtle force in the act of withholding a response. When others expect conflict and find none, their assumptions crumble. The need to provoke, to manipulate, to disturb is an energy they have invested in vain, and all the while you remain grounded, observing, and in full control of your own inner state. The Stoic path is clear here. Disturbances exist only if you permit them to. By practicing restraint, by letting silence speak for you, you reclaim authority over your own life, and you demonstrate a strength that is invisible but unmistakable. The power of silence lies not in passivity, but in choice. Every word you refrain from speaking is an assertion of control. Every unengaged provocation is a demonstration of your priorities. When you remain calm while others attempt to pull you into chaos, you create a psychological boundary that cannot easily be breached. Your mind is free, your focus unbroken, and your energy preserved. Others may act out of frustration or confusion, but the steadiness of your presence is a force that subtly reshapes the interaction without a single word exchanged. Silence also functions as a filter. When you engage selectively, when your responses are measured rather than reflexive, only matters worthy of your attention break through. Everything else fades into insignificance. You no longer expend energy on trivial conflicts, pointless debates, or attempts to prove yourself to those who will never understand. This is not avoidance. It is deliberate allocation of your mental and emotional resources. The moments once lost to reaction now become investments in clarity, composure, and strategic presence. Consider the unspoken message you send by remaining quiet. It communicates more than words ever could. Indifference, calm, and restraint create a gravity that draws attention without effort. People notice your steadiness. They perceive control and poise. Your silence becomes a presence in itself, commanding attention and respect. By mastering the art of measured non-engagement, you shape how the world interacts with you, and you preserve the most valuable resource you possess, your own energy. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Silence is a practical exercise of this principle. It is the refusal to surrender your inner life to external pressures, the conscious choice to remain undisturbed in the midst of chaos. By withholding the immediate response, by allowing the moment to pass without reaction, you reclaim autonomy. Your mind is no longer a battlefield for others' desires. It is a sanctuary of calm, observation, and deliberate action. The challenge, of course, is in consistency. Silence must be maintained not only in the easy moments, but also in the provocative ones. Every time someone expects a reaction and you choose not to provide it, you reinforce a habit of autonomy. You teach yourself that your peace is not negotiable and that your energy is not a commodity to be taken lightly. Over time, the habit strengthens, and the quiet authority it generates becomes instinctive. The person who understands the value of silence moves through the world with a gravity that cannot be fabricated, only earned through deliberate self-control. Through sustained practice, silence becomes more than a tactic. It becomes a state of being. It transforms reactive patterns into conscious choices. It turns wasted energy into preserved strength. It allows you to exist in a space where others' attempts to disrupt, provoke, or manipulate have little effect. In mastering silence, you cultivate resilience, clarity, and freedom, qualities that form the foundation of a life led intentionally, with reason as your guide, and with your inner peace held inviolable. Withdrawing strategically isn't about disappearing completely. It's about being present without being available, showing up in ways that serve your purpose while withholding your energy when it does not. The choice is deliberate, not reactive. Sometimes you engage fully, contributing where it matters. Sometimes you step back, allowing the rhythm of presence and absence to create an invisible gravity that draws attention without effort. This is the subtle power few ever master, yet it shapes perception more than any words or gestures ever could. Consider someone who constantly gives themselves away. Always answering messages immediately, always available, always accommodating. At first, it seems like reliability, like commitment, but over time, that constant availability dulls their presence. They become predictable, ordinary, taken for granted. The very openness meant to inspire connection now breeds familiarity and diminished impact. People notice, but they do not value, because value is created in scarcity, not ubiquity. Now, think about someone who is selective. They show up at the right time, in the right way, for the right reasons. Their presence is felt because it is not guaranteed. Their absence leaves space for curiosity and reflection. Each appearance is intentional, each engagement meaningful. This is how influence is built quietly. Scarcity has power, and you become the one who decides who gains access to your energy. Your presence becomes currency, not something to spend recklessly. The same principle applies in every interaction in life, whether personal, professional, or social. By deciding when to be fully available and when to retreat, you dictate the terms of your relationships and engagements. You are no longer pulled into every demand, every drama, or every expectation. Instead, you move according to purpose, guided by values rather than reaction. Each withdrawal is not a denial of responsibility, but an assertion of control over your own energy. Silence and selective presence are intertwined. When you withdraw, you allow reflection, clarity, and observation to emerge. You see the patterns of others, the motives behind requests, and the nature of demands placed upon you. Those who seek constant access are often dependent on your attention, but when it is withheld, they must reckon with the value of what they hoped to consume. The shift in dynamics is subtle but undeniable. Power lies in the ability to make your absence meaningful without needing to explain it. This is where strategy becomes visible. When engagement is scarce and deliberate, people adjust their perception. They value time with you more because it is limited. They notice your contributions more because they are not ubiquitous. You create a rhythm that others cannot predict, and in that unpredictability lies influence. By stepping back intentionally, you allow curiosity, respect, and even longing to grow. The very act of not being constantly available communicates boundaries and self-respect far more effectively than words ever could. Carl Jung once said, "Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness of other people." By selectively engaging, you observe rather than react. You maintain a measure of distance that allows clarity. You preserve your energy for what is meaningful, and meaningful alone. By withdrawing strategically, you protect yourself from being manipulated, overextended, or distracted. Your presence becomes intentional, your actions deliberate, and your focus unbroken. Over time, this practice transforms the way you move through the world. No longer do you chase validation or attempt to prove yourself through constant engagement. Instead, you let others recognize your value through the restraint you exercise. You engage only when it aligns with purpose, withdrawing when it does not. Each decision to step back is a silent statement of autonomy. You teach others how to approach you, not by demand, but by merit. In this way, presence and absence operate together, creating influence without effort, respect without coercion, and attention without obligation. Epictetus once said, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." The rhythm of strategic withdrawal is the practical application of this principle. What is within your power is your engagement, your energy, your focus. What is not is the constant demand of others, the expectations that do not serve your purpose, the chaos you cannot control. By choosing carefully where and when to invest yourself, you align action with power, creating a life that is guided by intention rather than reaction. By practicing selective presence, by stepping back deliberately, you cultivate a sense of scarcity that commands respect. People notice the effort, the value, and the boundaries you maintain. Your influence grows, not because of force or assertion, but because of the discernment you exercise in choosing where to appear. The careful allocation of attention becomes a tool of quiet authority. The moments you are present carry weight, and the moments you withdraw carry impact. You shape relationships, interactions, and outcomes simply through deliberate engagement and intentional absence. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The obstacles of expectation, demand, and pressure transform into instruments of influence when you master the rhythm of presence and absence. Every withdrawal, every measured engagement becomes a strategy that shapes perception, reinforces boundaries, and preserves your energy. The art of not being constantly available is an act of control, a practice of sovereignty, and a cultivation of inner strength that few ever learn to wield. By understanding the power inherent in selective engagement, by recognizing that absence can be as influential as presence, you move through life with subtle authority. Each interaction is governed by choice, each engagement purposeful, each withdrawal deliberate. This approach transforms ordinary participation into influence, chaotic demands into opportunity, and scattered energy into focused power. The quiet mastery of when to appear and when to step back is the key to shaping your life intentionally, guarding your energy, and commanding respect through the rhythm of presence and absence. Ignoring is more than withdrawal. It is psychological leverage, a deliberate act of preserving your energy while allowing the world to reveal its own patterns. When you choose not to respond to drama, criticism, or provocation, the person attempting to elicit a reaction is left with a void. Their mind begins to race, to fill the silence with questions, scenarios, and assumptions. They replay the interaction endlessly, searching for meaning or confirmation that will never come. Meanwhile, your own mind remains calm, focused, and undisturbed, anchored in the clarity of choice rather than the chaos of reaction. Imagine living like this every day, untouched by the turbulence others try to impose. You encounter criticism, gossip, and provocation, yet your mind is unshaken. Every word that could have drawn you into conflict instead slides past, unable to penetrate the walls of measured attention you have built. This practice does not isolate you from life. It positions you to engage with clarity and purpose, intervening only where your energy produces meaningful results. In learning to ignore, you create a space where influence comes from composure, not reaction, and where presence is recognized because it is earned, not given freely. The mind's need for closure works against those who attempt to manipulate through provocation. Human beings are wired to seek answers, to make sense of behavior and intent, and to restore equilibrium when it is disrupted. By remaining silent, you deny that closure, leaving others suspended in uncertainty. They are forced to confront the limits of their influence, while you retain the calm and focus that cannot be disturbed without consent. In this sense, ignoring is an act of self-preservation and subtle power, a way of demonstrating control without confrontation. Carl Jung once said, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." Each moment you choose not to react is a reaffirmation of that principle. You define your state of mind, your energy, and your priorities. The provocations of others no longer dictate your emotional or mental landscape. By exercising restraint and observing rather than responding, you become the architect of your own experience. Your calm is not given. It is claimed intentionally, and each act of ignoring strengthens the structure of your inner life. There is a profound clarity in refusing to feed negativity. When a person seeks to provoke, they are projecting their need for validation onto you. By denying it, you force them to face the reality of their own energy and intent. Their attempts to disturb you lose effect, and your focus remains uninterrupted. Indifference does not isolate you from opportunities or meaningful connections. It filters the engagements you allow into your life. Only interactions that align with purpose and value are met with response, while all others pass without effect. The discipline of ignoring requires patience and practice. Early attempts may feel uncomfortable, as the habitual compulsion to react is deeply ingrained. Yet with consistency, you begin to notice the impact not only on others, but on yourself. Your energy is preserved, your mind remains clear, and the space around you becomes one of deliberate calm. The people who previously drew power from your reactions lose their leverage, and you gain influence simply by maintaining equilibrium. This is mastery not over others, but over the environment of your own life. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Ignoring protects you from imagined offenses, from perceived slights, and from projections that others cast upon your mind. It allows you to live in the present, undisturbed by the unnecessary turbulence of others' expectations. Each moment of deliberate non-response preserves the clarity of your purpose, fortifies your mental and emotional boundaries, and reinforces the sovereignty of your inner life. The act of ignoring becomes a daily practice of self-mastery, reinforcing calm, resilience, and deliberate focus. When exercised consistently, ignoring becomes more than a tactic. It becomes a state of being. It turns habitual reactions into conscious choices. It transforms the chaotic energy of others into opportunities for observation and reflection. By maintaining this discipline, you protect your time, your energy, and your attention, while allowing the world to operate without extracting unnecessary cost from your life. The clarity, focus, and strength cultivated through this practice form the foundation for a life of intentionality, independence, and quiet influence. Aristotle once said, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom." Ignoring what does not serve you, choosing silence over reaction, and preserving energy for what truly matters is the practical application of this wisdom. The world may attempt to provoke, distract, or manipulate, but your state of mind remains intact. By mastering the art of ignoring, you reclaim authority over your life, protect the precious resource of your attention, and navigate existence with calm, purpose, and unwavering clarity. Some people should be erased from your orbit entirely, not violently, not with confrontation, but quietly, completely. They are the ones who drain your energy, spread negativity, or manipulate your emotions without adding any value to your life. Their presence is not neutral. It consumes time, focus, and mental space, leaving less room for what truly matters. Protecting your energy is not selfish, it is survival. You cannot pour from an empty cup, And when you allow others to siphon your vitality, you weaken your ability to act, to create, and to live intentionally. Every interaction requires an investment of attention, emotion, and thought. Most people give it freely, unaware of the cost, hoping for gratitude or recognition that rarely comes. But when you remove the unworthy, you reclaim that energy. You create a clear space for pursuits that matter, relationships that nourish, goals that align with your purpose, and activities that foster growth. Each moment of selective disengagement reinforces your sovereignty and strengthens the walls of your inner citadel. By consciously removing the unworthy from your orbit, you prevent them from dictating the terms of your life. You stop playing a game that was never yours to begin with. Their demands, provocations, and manipulations lose power because they are no longer fed by your attention or energy. In the silence that replaces engagement, clarity emerges. You can see which interactions contribute to growth, which people bring value, and which situations deserve your presence. Carl Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." By removing those who do not belong in your life, you turn your focus inward, observing your own values, priorities, and purpose. You awaken to the reality that energy is finite and that control over it is the foundation of true freedom. The people you remove do not diminish your life. They illuminate the space in which your own intentions can thrive. This is not about creating distance out of fear or resentment. It is about creating space for what is aligned with your principles. By erasing the unworthy, you make room for people and pursuits that reflect your values, your vision, and your priorities. The clarity that emerges allows you to act with intention, rather than being pulled by the chaos of demands, drama, and unnecessary conflict. You are no longer reactive. You are deliberate, measured, and sovereign in how you engage with the world. Seneca once said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." By eliminating the unworthy from your life, you follow this principle naturally. You surround yourself with those whose presence encourages growth, whose actions align with your values, and whose intentions are clear and honest. Every boundary you establish, every disengagement you practice, reinforces your capacity to invest fully in what matters and prevents your attention from being diluted by trivial or destructive influences. There is a profound freedom in this practice. When you stop responding to those who drain you, you stop being pulled into cycles of anger, frustration, or obligation. Your mental and emotional resources are preserved, allowing you to engage in activities and relationships that matter. The absence of the unworthy does not create emptiness. It creates clarity, focus, and the ability to act intentionally. The life that emerges is richer, more aligned, and more sustainable because it is built on deliberate choices rather than compulsion. Even the act of quiet disengagement has influence. When someone is removed from your orbit, they encounter the reality of their own behavior and its consequences. The patterns they relied upon to manipulate or consume your energy are interrupted, often forcing reflection or adjustment. Meanwhile, you gain the profound advantage of space and control. By removing the unworthy without confrontation, you preserve harmony within yourself while allowing the external world to resolve its own imbalance. Energy, attention, and presence are among the most valuable resources we possess. When they are squandered on people who do not respect or reciprocate them, life becomes scattered, exhausting, and unfulfilling. By practicing selective disengagement, you assert ownership over these resources, ensuring they are directed toward relationships, projects, and pursuits that contribute meaningfully to your life. This is the essence of autonomy, the deliberate choice of how, when, and with whom to share your presence. Over time, this practice transforms not just your interactions, but the very quality of your existence. Spaces once occupied by conflict, manipulation, or exhaustion are now filled with clarity, opportunity, and meaningful engagement. Your focus sharpens, your energy multiplies, and your life aligns more closely with your intentions. Each boundary set, each withdrawal practiced, and each unworthy presence removed contributes to a life lived with sovereignty, purpose, and quiet strength. Control over emotion is the armor of the untouchable. External events have no power unless you grant it. Anger, pride, jealousy, and fear are levers that others instinctively try to pull, hoping to manipulate, distract, or destabilize you. But when you recognize these levers, when you cultivate deliberate indifference toward what does not serve your purpose, their power diminishes. You become predictable only to yourself and unpredictable to those who would test or control you. The foundation of this armor is awareness, self-discipline, and restraint. Emotions are not enemies but tools. The key lies in understanding which ones serve you and which ones surrender your power. Anger can highlight injustice, but unchecked, it consumes the mind. Pride can drive achievement, but if allowed to rule, it blinds judgment. Fear can protect, but excessive fear immobilizes. By observing these impulses without surrendering to them, you maintain sovereignty over your internal life. You become the governor of your emotional state rather than a subject to the chaos of circumstance. The armor of emotion is strengthened through repetition and reflection. Each encounter where you resist reaction, each situation where you withhold a defensive or reactive impulse, adds to the structure of your inner resilience. This is not suppression, but integration, a way of acknowledging feelings while refusing to be ruled by them. By understanding the triggers that others exploit, you remove the vulnerability they rely upon. Predictability in action is reserved for yourself. To the world, you remain an enigma, unshakable and composed. Stoicism teaches that disturbance comes not from the events themselves, but from our judgment of them. When a slight insult or setback occurs, the power lies in interpretation. By cultivating a mindset that interprets provocations as neutral, external, and often insignificant, the emotional reaction that once followed is replaced by measured observation. The less we allow ourselves to be moved by petty attempts at control, the more energy we preserve for purposeful action. Each moment of equanimity fortifies the inner citadel, rendering manipulation ineffective. Consider how often life tests you in small ways: a rude comment, an unreasonable demand, an unexpected setback. These moments are unavoidable. The difference lies in response. When you recognize your emotional triggers, observe them, and choose restraint, you prevent them from dictating behavior or clouding judgment. Your mind becomes a calm center amid chaos, and each deliberate pause reinforces both confidence and clarity. Emotional armor is built one choice at a time, a process that accumulates quietly but powerfully over time. Jealousy, envy, and fear are common levers others use to influence behavior. Recognizing them and observing their presence without surrendering to them transforms vulnerability into strength. The untouchable understands that the external world can only affect what is granted permission. Each decision to remain centered, to act from reason rather than impulse, adds to the defensive structure that ensures clarity, focus, and freedom. You become unpredictable, not erratic, but intentionally elusive, untouchable because your actions are guided by principle, not provocation. The cultivation of emotional armor requires ongoing reflection. Awareness alone is insufficient. It must be accompanied by disciplined practice. Each time a situation arises that would normally trigger anger, defensiveness, or fear, you have the opportunity to reinforce the armor. Each act of deliberate restraint trains the mind to respond from strength rather than compulsion. The result is not apathy, but mastery. The ability to act decisively, thoughtfully, and with full command of mental and emotional resources. Seneca once said, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." Emotional mastery functions similarly. When you know how to govern your inner state, no external event can divert your course. Calm becomes a tool, clarity a shield, and restraint a weapon of subtle influence. Each interaction becomes navigable, each provocation manageable, and each challenge an opportunity to practice sovereignty over the mind. Emotional armor allows deliberate action in every circumstance, preserving energy, focus, and composure. Ultimately, the life built through mastery of emotion is one of resilience, purpose, and freedom. External forces may attempt to sway you, to provoke reaction, or to disturb your calm, but the untouchable remains centered. Emotional triggers are observed without surrender, impulses are integrated without compulsion, and energy is preserved for meaningful engagement. Each moment of restraint reinforces autonomy. Each act of deliberate inaction consolidates focus, and the quiet strength that emerges forms the foundation for a life guided by reason, clarity, and inner peace. Aristotle once said, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom." Emotional armor is an expression of that knowledge in practice. Each pause, each controlled response, and each observation of feelings without surrender transforms self-awareness into sovereignty. The untouchable moves through the world with composure, influence, and resilience. By mastering emotional control, you build not just defense, but the freedom to act with intention, the clarity to prioritize what matters, and the strength to remain undisturbed in a world that constantly seeks to provoke, distract, or manipulate. Sometimes the most powerful move is inaction, choosing not to fight, not to prove yourself, not to explain anything that will not serve your purpose. The instinct to respond is strong, and yet the wisdom lies in restraint. By stepping back, by holding your energy instead of giving it away, you preserve focus for what truly matters. Situations often resolve themselves when left unforced, and the act of doing less creates space for clarity, perspective, and strategic advantage. Inaction is not laziness, it is a deliberate exercise of power. Each withheld response, each moment you resist the urge to prove or defend, is a demonstration of control over your own mind and resources. When provoked, choosing stillness forces others to reveal themselves. Their attempts to manipulate, provoke, or draw you into conflict lose effect. By doing nothing, you expose who truly values your presence and who is invested in distractions or illusions. Your calm becomes a mirror reflecting their intentions, and your composure is a signal of sovereignty that cannot be taken lightly. This principle extends to every aspect of life. The need to constantly respond, to justify, to compete, can scatter energy and dilute influence. By observing rather than reacting, you conserve attention and mental clarity. Calculated inaction allows you to act only where impact is meaningful, turning minimal effort into maximum effect. The world becomes predictable in its unpredictability because your response is deliberate, measured, and unshakable. Those who attempt to provoke you may grow frustrated, fascinated, or uncertain, yet you remain grounded, focused, and serene, moving only when it serves the greater purpose of your life. Carl Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." Inaction allows the darkness to reveal itself, the currents of tension, expectation, and manipulation that others carry. By remaining still, you witness patterns without being drawn into them. Awareness emerges naturally in these moments of deliberate pause, and understanding grows from observation rather than interference. In choosing not to react, you cultivate insight, preserving your energy for what truly aligns with your principles and intentions. Patience is a cornerstone of this strategy. The Stoics teach that time reveals clarity, that wisdom lies in discernment, and that mastery is knowing when to act and when to remain still. Immediate reactions often satisfy impulse, but disrupt judgment. By holding back, you allow consequences to unfold naturally, and in doing so, You gain a perspective unavailable to those who move hastily. Each act of restraint reinforces self-mastery, demonstrating that influence is not gained through forceful action, but through the command of presence and attention. Calculated inaction also sharpens perception. When others expect a response and none is given, their true priorities become evident. You observe who seeks conflict, who desires validation, and who contributes meaningfully to your life. This clarity is invaluable. Those who engage in drama without your participation reveal the limits of their intentions, and you gain insight into the relationships, environments, and situations worthy of your energy. Inaction is a tool not of avoidance, but of strategic discernment. Energy preservation is central to this approach. Every reaction consumes focus, emotional bandwidth, and attention. By choosing inaction, you redirect these resources toward meaningful pursuits. The effort that would have been spent on pointless engagement is instead invested in growth, clarity, and impact. Over time, this disciplined economy of attention strengthens mental resilience and fortifies the inner space where purpose thrives. Each deliberate pause is an act of conservation, a reinforcement of autonomy, and a subtle exercise of influence that multiplies with consistent practice. The impact of inaction is often invisible but profound. Others become curious, unsettled, or fascinated by the fact that your state of mind cannot be swayed by provocation. They attempt to predict your response, to test boundaries, and to draw you into their sphere, yet find only stillness. This stillness communicates authority more powerfully than words or force ever could. By acting less, you exert more influence. By appearing measured, deliberate, and untouchable, you shape perception and outcomes without effort, letting the rhythm of your presence dictate engagement on your own terms. Freedom emerges from this practice. By resisting the compulsion to react, to defend, or to prove, you reclaim control over your time, attention, and energy. Life becomes a series of deliberate choices rather than a chain of impulsive reactions. Your priorities guide action, and distractions fade into insignificance. Each moment of stillness reinforces self-mastery, and each pause creates the conditions for clarity, insight, and effective influence. Sometimes the most profound transformations occur not through action, but through stillness. By withholding reaction, you create space for observation, reflection, and strategic intervention. You reveal who and what truly matters, and who and what does not. The power of inaction lies not in absence, but in presence tempered by restraint. It is the quiet assertion of autonomy, the preservation of energy, and the subtle shaping of influence. Marcus Aurelius once said, "He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe." Calculated inaction is the embodiment of that harmony. By choosing where and when to act, you maintain balance, control, and integrity. The world may provoke, distract, and demand, but your energy remains protected, your focus uncompromised, and your inner peace unbroken. Each decision to remain still strengthens clarity, amplifies influence, and secures the freedom that is the foundation of mastery. By understanding the power inherent in deliberate inaction, by observing without reacting, and by preserving energy for what matters, you cultivate a life governed by intention, insight, and sovereignty. The moments of restraint accumulate into authority, the silences into influence, and the deliberate pauses into clarity. Inaction, practiced wisely, becomes more than a strategy. It becomes a state of being, a reflection of mastery, and the ultimate exercise of self-mastery, focus, and enduring freedom. Your power has always been within you. Every pause, every moment of restraint, every choice not to react has been building the life you were meant to live, calm, focused, and untouchable. Listen closely. If you feel that familiar rush of excitement when you tell someone about your latest project or goal, but then, almost immediately, that rush fades. Good. That fleeting sense of satisfaction, it's your mind tricking you into thinking you've accomplished more than you really have. In a world where sharing is the norm and everyone's life seems to be on display, it's easy to forget that some things are meant to be kept private. The truth is, sharing too much too soon can kill your drive. It takes away the hunger that pushes you forward. The Stoics taught us that true growth isn't about seeking validation from others. It's about mastering the art of silence and inner discipline. When we stop seeking approval, we start building, creating, and achieving in ways that speak louder than any announcement ever could. So, if you're tired of the constant need to share every step of your journey, if you're ready to stop leaking your energy into conversations that don't serve you, then stick with me. In this video, we'll dive into 10 powerful lessons that will completely transform how you approach your life and your growth. It's time to protect your energy and let your actions speak for themselves. And if you're ready to take the first step toward a more focused, disciplined, and meaningful life, consider subscribing. This isn't just about following a channel, it's about committing to your own growth and embracing the quiet strength that comes with it. Your life is not for public consumption. There's something deeply unsettling about feeling the need to share everything with everyone. Whether it's a small achievement or a new project you're starting, the temptation to announce it is often overwhelming. But here's the truth. Your life is not a performance for the world to applaud. Every time you open up about your goals and plans, you're not just sharing information, you're losing control. You trade your progress for a momentary applause only to find that it's never enough. Your next big step, sharing even more. But what you may not realize is that each time you share, you create a cycle. The more you speak, the less you do. It's the trap of needing external validation, of feeling that you're incomplete unless someone else acknowledges your efforts. The Stoics believed that the best way to grow wasn't through loud proclamations, but through quiet, consistent work. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. Let your actions be the only thing that defines you. Build in silence, and when the time is right, the world will see the results." We've all been there, right? Sharing every detail of our lives, hoping to get a reaction, hoping to feel recognized. But the problem is, the more you give away, the less you have left for yourself. When you share too much, you dilute your energy. You start chasing attention instead of building something real. Think about it. How often have you felt more motivated after telling someone your plans? The truth is that initial rush fades quickly. Once the world knows what you're doing, the craving for approval takes over. This is why the most powerful people don't feel the need to announce their every move. They understand the value of privacy, and they protect it fiercely. Every time you reveal your plans to the wrong people, you're not just sharing information, you're weakening your ability to execute. Instead of talking about it, do it. Let the results speak louder than any announcement. Think about your life as a precious resource, something that needs protection. When you expose too much of it, it becomes vulnerable. Everyone you share with, whether intentionally or not, has an impact on your energy. Not everyone who listens has your best interests at heart. Some listen to compare, some to gossip, and some to make you feel small. This is why it's essential to recognize that not every conversation deserves your time and energy. Epictetus famously said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." The less you need from others, the more power you have over your own life. When you stop seeking external validation, you start building a foundation that doesn't rely on the approval of others. Protect your energy by choosing who gets access to your private thoughts, your plans, and your struggles. Not everyone deserves to know what's happening in your world, and that's okay. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your growth. The idea of keeping things to yourself doesn't mean you're being secretive or cold. It's about creating the space you need to truly grow. You know that quiet feeling when you're working on something important, but you haven't told anyone yet. It's the feeling of pure, undisturbed progress. It's the kind of progress that doesn't seek a crowd, because the moment you invite them in, you invite their doubts, their judgments, and their noise. This quiet space where your work lives is where the most significant transformation happens. The challenge is this: it's time to take back control of your life by sharing less. The less you share, the more room you create for action, for growth, and for true achievement. Stop looking for validation in other people's eyes. Build in private, work in silence, and protect your energy fiercely. Your life is too valuable to become just another spectacle. So, from this moment on, start letting your work speak for itself. Let your actions show the world who you are, not your words. It's time to stop leaking your energy into pointless conversations and start building a future that's meaningful to you, not to anyone else. When you make this shift, you'll see how much power you've been holding all along. Words lose power when they're given too soon. How many times have you shared your big idea with someone, whether it's a new project, a fitness goal, or a business venture, only to feel a strange sense of satisfaction, followed by a sudden loss of motivation? You get that brief rush, that little jolt of excitement, but then it fades. The moment you speak your goals out loud, your mind believes the work is already done. And what happens next? The energy you need to actually take action. It's drained. It's like you've already completed the task, and now there's nothing left to push you forward. We all fall into this trap, thinking that sharing our plans is part of the process. But in reality, it's one of the biggest barriers to actually achieving them. Words are powerful, yes. They have the ability to inspire, to influence, and to set things in motion. But the moment you release them into the world, they lose some of their power. It's like pouring out the fuel that's supposed to drive your engine. Think about how many times you've started something, whether it was a new habit or a new venture, and felt compelled to tell someone about it. It's almost like you're seeking approval or validation, or maybe just that little moment of being seen. But here's the thing. The more you share, the less you actually do. You convince your mind that you've already earned some sort of reward. But the truth is, the real reward comes from the work you put in, not the applause you get from talking about it. Sharing your ideas might feel good, but it's an illusion. You're trading your hunger for recognition, and in doing so, you've already dulled the edge of your drive. It's easy to get caught up in this cycle. It's tempting to tell the world about the new business you're starting or the book you're writing, but the longer you talk about it without doing the work, the more you trick yourself into thinking you're actually making progress. And the reality is, you're not. You're just setting yourself up for a crash when the applause fades and you're left with nothing but empty promises and an unfinished project. The most successful people aren't the ones constantly announcing their next big thing. They're the ones quietly doing the work. They understand that progress doesn't come from talking about it. It comes from staying focused and building in silence. Every time you share what you're doing, you risk letting go of that crucial, quiet energy that comes from self-discipline. Instead of speaking your goals into existence, live them. Focus on the steps, the hard work, and the consistency that will eventually lead to the results you want. This is the real magic. When you do the work in silence, your results will speak louder than any words ever could. Your actions will show the world who you are and what you're capable of, without you ever needing to announce it. At the end of the day, what matters is not how many people know about your plans, but how much effort you're putting into making them a reality. So, next time you feel the urge to share your big idea with someone, ask yourself, am I doing this for validation, or am I genuinely ready to take the next step? If the answer is the former, take a step back. Refocus. Let your actions, not your words, define who you are. You don't need to announce your next move to the world. You need to do the work first and let the results speak for themselves. Let that be the lesson. Words are powerful, but action is what gets you where you want to go. Attention is a currency. Stop wasting it. We all want to be seen, heard, and understood. It's human nature. But let's be honest. How often do we pour our energy into conversations with people who don't really care? You share details of your life, your struggles, your achievements, your plans, and the response is lackluster at best. Maybe they nod, maybe they don't even listen, and yet you've just given away a piece of yourself. The thing is, attention is a currency, and every time you spill your life story to someone who isn't invested, you're paying a price and getting nothing in return. Your time, your mental energy, and your focus are all drained. It's like tossing money into a pit, watching it disappear, and still hoping it somehow comes back to you. But it won't. The moment you realize how valuable your attention truly is, you'll start guarding it fiercely. As Carl Jung once said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. If you're constantly sharing your energy with people who don't help you grow, you're denying yourself that privilege. You're not becoming who you truly are. You're becoming a version of yourself that seeks approval, that craves validation, and that endlessly seeks to be understood by the wrong people. The truth is, your attention is one of the most precious resources you have. Every minute you spend talking to someone who isn't aligned with your growth, you're taking that time away from what truly matters. Think about it. When was the last time you spent your energy on something that fueled your progress? Your goals, your health, your passions, those things deserve your focus. Yet, how many hours have you lost in conversations that led nowhere? How many times have you left a chat feeling drained, yet you couldn't pinpoint exactly why? It's because your attention has been given away to something that doesn't serve your higher purpose. We've all been there. You're deep in a conversation, sharing every little detail, and you get that momentary sense of relief, like you're connecting. But as soon as it's over, the feeling vanishes. Why? Because when we overshare, we're not giving something valuable to someone who can help us grow. We're giving away pieces of ourselves to someone who doesn't value them. Instead of offering your focus and time to people who will drain you, direct it toward those who will help you become better. Those who challenge you, inspire you, or push you toward your true potential. This doesn't mean cutting off everyone, but it does mean being mindful of where and to whom you're investing your energy. Your focus is too valuable to waste on conversations that leave you empty. Consider this. The more you share with the wrong people, the less you have left for yourself. The more you seek external validation, the more you deplete your internal resources. And when you're constantly looking for approval or talking just for the sake of talking, you're not living with intention. You're letting your energy slip through your fingers. True power lies in being selective with your attention. The Stoics believed that you are in control of your mind, your thoughts, and your energy. They didn't waste their time seeking approval or validation from others. Instead, they focused on their inner world, knowing that when they directed their energy inward, it would reflect outward in their actions. Most of the suffering we experience is a result of losing our focus, thinking we need external approval, and wasting our attention on things that don't matter. Imagine if you spent even half of that wasted energy on building something meaningful for yourself. What could you accomplish? You see, when you protect your attention and put it where it matters, you're able to live with more purpose. Your energy is no longer spread thin. It's focused, deliberate, and effective. Instead of letting your attention go to people who don't truly care, start putting it into the things that make you grow. Invest in your goals. Take care of your health. Keep building your momentum. And when someone tries to take your energy, remember, your attention is valuable and you don't need to give it away just because someone asked for it. Choose where you put your focus, because what you feed grows. When you stop wasting your attention on people and things that don't serve you, you'll start seeing results you never thought possible. Protect your attention, and the progress you seek will follow. Respect your boundaries. No one deserves everything. It's so easy to fall into the trap of feeling like you owe everyone an explanation for your life, your choices, and your progress. In our world, we're constantly sharing, whether it's on social media, in casual conversations, or even in our close relationships. We share our victories, our struggles, and everything in between, almost as if we're expected to justify our existence. But here's a hard truth. You don't owe anyone an explanation. When you start giving away too much, when you begin to spill every detail, you start to weaken your own boundaries. The more you share, the more your sense of self begins to erode. People will begin to expect that level of openness, and before you know it, they start defining your life by what you tell them. Your narrative isn't theirs to shape, it's yours. And protecting it means learning when to keep things to yourself, no matter how much guilt or pressure you might feel. The Stoic philosopher. It's natural to feel like you're doing something wrong when you don't share everything. Society tells us that we should be open, transparent, and authentic by revealing all. But true authenticity isn't about overexposing yourself for validation. It's about being real with yourself and knowing when to protect what's precious to you. By learning to say no to the demand for constant updates, you're asserting control over your life. Your life is not an open book for anyone to flip through whenever they want. When you let others dictate what you should share, you lose the power to decide what truly matters to you. It's not about hiding. It's about choosing wisely what deserves to be shared and when. Not everyone needs to know your every move. Sometimes simply saying, "I keep some things private," is enough. You don't have to justify it, and you certainly don't have to explain why. It's your right to keep some things for yourself. When you constantly share, you inadvertently make yourself vulnerable in ways that don't serve you. Every time you explain or justify, you're handing over control of your narrative. The more you give, the more people expect, and soon you're drowning in a sea of expectations, all of them shaping who you are. You become a reflection of what others want from you, rather than the person you are trying to become. If you want to protect your boundaries, it starts with understanding that you don't need to explain yourself at every turn. Your actions will speak for you, and they will speak louder than any words you say. Boundaries aren't just about saying no to others. They're about saying yes to yourself. When you keep certain parts of your life private, you're not shutting others out. You're protecting your inner peace. You're protecting your growth. The more you share, the more you give away, but the less you have left to nurture your own journey. The more you protect your boundaries, the more you preserve your energy for what truly matters. The process of self-discovery and growth is private, personal, and sacred. It's something you need to guard fiercely. And the beautiful part of this is, the more you practice this discipline of keeping things to yourself, the stronger your sense of self becomes. You stop defining yourself by others' expectations and start living according to your own truth. This isn't about being closed off, it's about being intentional with your energy. Learning to say no when necessary and keeping some things private is an act of self-respect. It's about choosing to protect your focus and energy so you can channel them into what really matters. So next time you feel the urge to explain yourself or share every update, remember this: not everything needs to be shared. You are allowed to keep parts of your life just for you. You don't have to justify your decisions. Saying less often means saying more, not in words, but in the actions that speak louder than anything you could say. Your life is your own, and the boundaries you set are your greatest defense against a world that constantly asks for more. Your momentum is yours. Protect it. Have you ever felt more confident when no one knew what you were working on? That quiet, almost secretive feeling when you're deep in the grind, focusing on your goals, without the weight of anyone's opinions or expectations hanging over you. It's almost like a superpower, isn't it? The power of being invisible, of moving in silence while building something that matters to you. The moment you start sharing your journey with others, it's as if you open the door to judgment, doubt, and a whole lot of pressure that you didn't ask for. People start weighing in, offering advice or criticism, and all of a sudden, you're distracted by everyone else's opinions about what you should be doing. It can derail your momentum, slow you down, or even stop you from moving forward. The truth is, your momentum is yours, and it's precious. Once you let others in too early, you risk losing that momentum. You risk getting caught up in what they think, rather than what you need to do. And that's a dangerous game. The Stoics knew this better than anyone. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." When you keep your progress to yourself, you allow yourself to fail, to try again, to experiment, without the weight of everyone's judgment or the burden of external expectations. It's in the silence where you can truly focus on the work. When you're invisible, you're free to make mistakes without feeling the shame of others watching. And in a way, those mistakes are part of the process, the key ingredients to learning and growth. But the moment you open up, you invite unnecessary pressure. You invite the world to weigh in on something that's still taking shape, and that can make you second-guess yourself, or worse, abandon the idea altogether. It's in the quiet where the strongest growth happens. When you build in silence, your results speak for themselves. People won't be there to witness every step of the process, but they will be there when the results are undeniable. You don't have to explain yourself, you don't need to justify your progress, and you certainly don't need to ask for permission. All you have to do is stay focused and stay quiet. Keep your momentum intact by protecting it from the noise around you. Think of it like planting a seed. When you first plant it, you don't show it off to the world. You don't parade it around for everyone to see. You let it grow in peace. You nurture it in silence, away from the distractions and pressures of others. In time, when it's ready, the world will see it for what it is, strong, resilient, and undeniably beautiful. And that's how your journey should be. When you protect your momentum, you give yourself the space to focus on the small daily actions that move you forward. No distractions, no unnecessary conversations, just you and the work that needs to be done. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that you need to share your progress to validate it. But that's not true growth. Real growth happens when you're willing to do the hard work in silence, knowing that the results will eventually show up. When you let go of the need for validation, you reclaim your focus and, in turn, your power. There's something incredibly freeing about building without an audience. It allows you to take risks, experiment, and truly discover what works for you without fear of judgment. And when the time comes, when you're ready to share what you've built, you can do so with confidence, knowing that your results are a reflection of your quiet, consistent effort. The world will take notice when it's ready, but you don't need to rush that moment. Build in silence, protect your momentum, and let the work speak for itself. Gossip is a system, don't feed it. We all know that people talk. It's just part of life. Whether it's a casual conversation at work or a chat with a friend, gossip is always lurking in the background. But here's the thing. When you overshare, you're feeding that gossip machine. You're giving people the raw material to talk about, and once that information is out there, it's no longer yours. The more you share, the more ammunition you provide for others to form opinions, pass judgments, and weave stories about your life that may not even be true. It doesn't matter if your intentions were pure or if you simply wanted to vent or connect. Once your thoughts leave your mind, they take on a life of their own. They become part of someone else's narrative, and often that narrative doesn't align with your truth. As Carl Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. But when we overshare, we open the door to misunderstandings, and our growth becomes something for others to judge, twist, and scrutinize. The truth is, people are going to talk whether you stay quiet or not. It's simply part of human nature. The difference is, when you overshare, you give them a narrative that they can cling to, twist, and use against you. As you grow, as you change, and as you improve yourself, you'll find that others will continue to hold on to outdated versions of you. They will remember the you from years ago, the you that maybe wasn't as confident or driven, and as you move forward, those old versions will live on in their minds, often becoming the story they tell about you. Imagine trying to evolve, trying to leave behind your old habits, only to find that everyone around you still sees you as that person you no longer are. It's exhausting, and the more you share, the more material you give people to create their own narratives about who you are, without ever truly seeing the real you. That's why protecting your growth means protecting your private thoughts. You don't need to share every idea or feeling you have in the moment. Keep some things to yourself so that when you evolve, it's not clouded by other people's perceptions. The more you give away, the more you risk losing control over your own story. We all have our personal struggles, dreams, and emotions, but when we expose them too early or to the wrong people, they get distorted. Your private thoughts are yours for a reason. They are the foundation of your inner world, and they need protection. Once they are out in the open, they can be misused, misinterpreted, and turned into gossip. When you leave too much of yourself on display, you become vulnerable to the opinions of others, and those opinions can easily turn into judgments that follow you, even as you try to move on and grow. The more you share, the more of your past self others carry with them. This doesn't mean you need to isolate yourself or cut off meaningful relationships, but you need to understand the power of keeping some things close to your chest. Your private thoughts, your emotions, and your plans deserve that respect. Keep them protected, and they'll remain yours to shape. When you keep certain parts of yourself private, you not only protect your growth, but also create space for authenticity. You allow yourself to move through the world without constantly feeling the weight of others' opinions. Think about it. When you share less, you're able to focus on the things that truly matter without getting distracted by how people perceive you. When you're not caught up in constantly explaining yourself, justifying your decisions, or worrying about what others will say, you can move forward without hesitation. You can fail without fear, experiment without shame, and grow without the need to defend yourself. This is the power of silence, the power of choosing what you allow others to see. Seneca put it perfectly when he said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." The fear of gossip, of being misunderstood, often creates more suffering than the actual situation. But when you decide to protect your private life, you can free yourself from that suffering. You no longer have to live under the scrutiny of others' opinions. You may think that sharing everything is a way to be authentic, but in reality, it often keeps you stuck in the past. It keeps you connected to versions of yourself that are no longer relevant. Instead of sharing everything, choose to share only what will move you forward. Protect the parts of you that are growing, evolving, and shifting. Protect your space to change, and don't let others hold you back by trapping you in their version of who you are. Your growth is yours to define, and when you keep it private, you keep it pure. So next time you're tempted to overshare, ask yourself, am I feeding the gossip machine, or am I protecting my own growth? Keep your progress to yourself and let your actions show the world who you are. People only want the predictable you. The moment you decide to change, to shift your habits, or to step into a new version of yourself, something strange happens. People start asking questions. They'll want to know, why are you doing that? Or, who told you to do that? At first, these questions may seem like genuine curiosity, but in reality, they're not about understanding you. They're about pulling you back to the person you used to be. When you start changing, it challenges the comfort of those around you. The old you is easy to understand, easy to predict, and easy to control. But the moment you start shifting, you throw that predictability off balance. The people around you might not even realize it, but they feel threatened. When you break free from what they've always known, you challenge their comfort zones, and that discomfort leads to questions, doubts, and sometimes even resistance. It's as if they're trying to keep you stuck in the past so they can stay comfortable. But here's the truth. Your growth doesn't need to be explained. You don't owe anyone an explanation for the changes you're making in your life. The truth is, people prefer the predictable version of you because it keeps them safe. It keeps the narrative familiar and the dynamics stable. When you step out of line with what they expect, they're faced with their own discomfort. They don't want to confront the possibility that change is not only possible but necessary, so they'll try to hold you back, often without even realizing it. Their questions, their doubts, their attempts to pull you back to the old you, they're just ways of trying to keep their world as it was. But here's where it gets tricky. If you engage with these doubts, if you defend your decisions, you end up reinforcing their need to hold on to the old version of you. Don't argue with them. Don't defend your growth. Just keep walking. Keep moving forward with the confidence that you don't need anyone's permission to change, to grow, or to evolve. This is where true growth happens, in the moments when you keep going, even when the world around you tries to pull you back. People may not want you to change because your transformation forces them to question their own lives. They might not say it outright, but they're watching you, hoping you'll fail, hoping you'll return to the comfort of the old you. And if you give in to their doubts, you lose the very momentum you've worked so hard to build. The key is to stay focused on your journey, to remember that your growth doesn't need anyone else's approval. You're not here to please anyone. You're here to become the best version of yourself. As you grow, you'll start to notice something important. The people who are truly meant for your life will support your changes, not try to hold you back. The ones who can't understand your transformation may start to distance themselves, and that's okay. Sometimes growth means outgrowing people. You're not responsible for their comfort, and you certainly don't have to justify your evolution to anyone. The more you defend yourself, the more you reinforce their control over your life. The best thing you can do is to stay steady, to stay focused, and to let your actions show your commitment to your growth. Every time you choose to stay true to your journey, despite the questioning looks and the doubts of others, you strengthen your resolve and deepen your understanding of who you are becoming. The process of change doesn't need to be explained to anyone. It doesn't need to be justified or defended. It simply needs to be lived. Every time you stay committed to your own transformation without needing validation from others, you reclaim your power. You're building something lasting, something that's not swayed by the opinions of others. And the more you walk in that direction, the more you'll realize that those who truly matter will walk alongside you, not try to pull you back to who you were. Change is inevitable, but it's yours to shape. So next time someone questions your growth, don't feel the need to explain. Just keep walking. Keep moving forward. Your journey is yours, and it doesn't need to be understood by anyone but you. Silence is training, not emptiness. Silence feels uncomfortable, doesn't it? We're so used to filling the space with words, to constantly talking about what we're doing, what we're feeling, or where we're headed. It's almost like we can't handle a quiet moment without rushing to say something, anything, just to fill it. But here's the kicker. Silence isn't emptiness. It's actually where the real work happens. When you stop sharing everything, stop constantly seeking validation, you'll start to notice something strange. At first, it might feel unsettling. You'll feel that itch to speak, to explain yourself, to fill the space. That discomfort? It's a sign that you're training yourself. You're training yourself to sit with your own thoughts, to be okay with the stillness, and to stop using words as a way to distract yourself from your inner world. Silence is not a void, not an empty space. It's the foundation of true strength. Most people are so accustomed to constant noise and validation, that they can't imagine being in silence for long. But the power that comes from silence is far greater than any temporary reassurance you can get from others. Carl Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." Silence is where you go to look inside. It's where you can finally hear your own thoughts, your own desires, your own truths, without the influence of others. Every time you fill that space with words, you rob yourself of the opportunity to grow in that quiet. You miss the chance to build mental strength and clarity. You lose the power that comes from mastering your thoughts and emotions. The more you learn to embrace silence, the more you'll find that it's not empty. It's full of possibilities, full of insights, and full of the strength you need to keep moving forward. It's not easy, though. That discomfort you feel when you're silent, it's real. We've been conditioned to believe that noise and words equal progress. The truth is, they often prevent it. When you're constantly speaking, constantly sharing your every thought and plan, you give away pieces of yourself. You dilute your power, and you get caught up in seeking approval rather than in doing the actual work. Silence, on the other hand, allows you to focus on what really matters. It gives you the room to think, to create, and to build without the pressure of external expectations. When you're alone in silence, you're forced to face your thoughts, your goals, and your emotions. And that's where true growth happens, not in the noise of the world, but in the stillness of your own mind. By learning to sit with discomfort, by learning to embrace silence, you'll notice a change. You'll begin to trust yourself more. You'll become more confident in your own decisions, knowing that you don't need external validation to be sure of yourself. In silence, you don't need to explain your every move. You can just be. And the beauty of that is, when you come out of that silence, when you finally share something, it will be from a place of strength. It won't be for reassurance or approval. It will be a sharing of your growth, your wisdom, and your truth. That's when your words carry real weight. We live in a world that often celebrates noise, whether it's talking, sharing, or posting everything you're doing. But real power lies in the moments when you choose silence, when you choose to do the work, to face your challenges head-on, without the need for applause or constant validation. Silence isn't emptiness. It's where you build. It's where you find your center, your clarity, and your strength. So the next time you find yourself in a quiet moment, don't rush to fill it. Sit with it. Embrace it. Because in that silence, you'll discover more about yourself than any conversation could ever reveal. Not everyone deserves to hear your truth. Your life is not a performance for the world. It's your home, and a home has doors. Not everyone should have access to those doors. In fact, some people don't even deserve to step inside. The more you share your innermost thoughts, dreams, and struggles with others, the more you risk losing the true essence of who you are. When you let too many people in, you begin to mold yourself to fit their expectations, to please them, to make them comfortable with who you are. But here's the harsh reality. When you do that, you stop being true to yourself. You start changing for others, shifting who you are to meet their approval, and in the process, you lose sight of your own path. The truth is, not everyone who asks to hear your story is worthy of it, and that's perfectly okay. It's tempting to share everything with people, especially those we care about or admire. But the more you open up to those who are not aligned with your growth, the more energy you give away. Instead of building yourself up, you end up spending your time trying to build relationships that drain you. Not everyone is meant to walk through the door of your inner world. In fact, most people aren't. Those who truly deserve access to your life are the ones who support your growth, challenge your limits, and encourage you to be the best version of yourself. You don't need to give everyone a front row seat to your personal journey. You don't have to explain your every decision or justify every choice. Protect your peace by learning to keep some things to yourself. Your dreams, your plans, your struggles. They don't belong to anyone but you. Think about it. The more you share with people who don't have your best interest at heart, the more you invite their opinions, their judgments, and their expectations into your life. And all of that can cloud your mind, distract you from your purpose, and make you question your own worth. When you constantly open up to the wrong people, you start changing not to grow, but to fit into the molds they've created for you. Your life becomes a series of performances, trying to meet other people's standards. That's not how you build a life of meaning. The truth is, some people will always take more from you than they give. They'll listen to your struggles, your dreams, your plans, and instead of helping you build, they'll feed off your energy. They'll turn your vulnerability into gossip, your dreams into doubts, and your struggles into entertainment. If you let them, you'll end up with nothing left to give. That's why protecting your inner world is so crucial. It's not about being secretive. It's about protecting your peace and your power. When you keep your most important thoughts, ideas, and plans for yourself, you give them the space to grow. You allow yourself to nurture them in peace, without the interference of others' judgments or criticisms. Not everyone deserves to know your truth, and that's okay. There's strength in keeping parts of your life private. It's not about building walls to keep people out. It's about creating boundaries that protect your energy. You don't need to explain your struggles or your journey to anyone who isn't willing to help you on that path. The people who deserve to hear your truth are those who have earned your trust, who will support your growth, and who will hold your story with care. They are the ones who will challenge you to rise, not the ones who will hold you back with their doubts or their need for gossip. So next time you feel the urge to share your life with someone, ask yourself, is this person here to help me grow, or are they just here to consume my energy? If they don't serve your growth, don't let them into your inner world. Protect your peace, your boundaries, and your future. Keep your struggles, your dreams, and your plans close to your heart. Only share with those who deserve it, those who will encourage you, not hinder you. Your life is your own to create. Protect it fiercely. Your progress doesn't need witnesses, it needs consistency. We live in a world obsessed with instant gratification. Every day we're bombarded with messages telling us to share our achievements, to announce our successes, and to seek recognition. The pressure to be seen, to be acknowledged, is everywhere. But here's the reality. Progress doesn't need an audience. The best transformations happen quietly, in private, when no one is watching. Think about it. The most significant changes in your life won't come from the likes, the comments, or the applause. They'll come from the small, consistent actions you take every day, the ones that no one sees. We often confuse progress with visibility, but the truth is, progress thrives in silence. It grows when you're not trying to show the world what you're doing, but rather focusing on doing the work, step by step, without the need for validation. Too often, we feel compelled to share our journey, to announce every step we take, hoping for that instant recognition. But in doing so, we risk losing focus. When you're too concerned with what others think, when you're caught up in showing off your progress, you start measuring yourself by external standards instead of your own. This is where consistency becomes so important. Consistency is what drives true growth. It's the small daily actions that build momentum and lead to real transformation. As the most powerful people you know aren't the ones announcing every detail of their lives. They're the ones who are doing the work, day in and day out, without needing anyone to see it. They understand that their progress speaks for itself. You don't need to tell the world every time you hit a milestone. The more you talk about your goals, the less you do to achieve them. Every time you share something, you risk diluting its power. The real magic lies in the work you do when no one is watching. The late nights, the early mornings, the hours spent honing your craft, All of that builds the foundation for success. When people ask, "What's new with you?" you don't need to give a long story. Just say, "I'm focusing on my routine right now." Let your consistency be the proof of your progress, not your words. We're conditioned to think that sharing our journey is part of the process, but in reality, it's a distraction. The moment you start sharing too much, you lose focus. You start performing instead of progressing. You're no longer working for the results, you're working for the approval, and that's when your growth stagnates. But when you stop seeking validation and focus solely on the work, something remarkable happens. You start to grow at a pace that feels natural to you, not to others. You start to see real progress, not because you're getting recognition, but because you're doing the work consistently without needing anyone else to notice. This shift is what sets apart those who succeed from those who get lost in the noise. Consistency is the real game changer. It's the small steps you take every day that build momentum, that lead to breakthroughs, that create lasting change. And that momentum doesn't need to be announced. It doesn't need to be witnessed. It just needs to be nurtured in silence. Every time you show up, every time you put in the work, you're moving closer to your goal. And while others may not see it right away, they will eventually notice the results. Your transformation will be undeniable. It will speak for itself. So instead of focusing on sharing every little thing, focus on showing up for yourself. Focus on consistency. Focus on the work, and let the results speak for themselves. Progress doesn't need to be witnessed. It just needs to be earned, day after day, with no need for validation. Your journey is yours to own. It's not for the world to witness or validate. It's for you to build, step by quiet step, with consistency and dedication. When you stop seeking attention and focus on the work, that's when true transformation happens. So, protect your peace, protect your momentum, and let your actions speak louder than your words. Your heart is a liability. It's a traitor living inside your chest, convincing you that passion, excitement, and desire are the true paths to success. You were told to follow it, to trust your emotions as if they were guiding you toward greatness. But what if everything you've been taught about following your heart is wrong? What if the emotions you trust the most are the very things holding you back? The Stoics understood something most people never realize. True power does not come from being ruled by your feelings. It comes from mastering them, from rising above the chaos inside you and choosing clarity over reaction. In a world where most people are pulled in every direction by their emotions, the ones who stay steady, who think before they react, are the ones who hold the real power. Have you ever noticed how emotions can take over your life? One moment, you're on top of the world. The next, you're spiraling into despair, or worse, making rash decisions that only bring regret. That text you shouldn't have sent, that decision you made because you were too emotional, what do they all have in common? Emotion. It's the source of so many mistakes, and yet it's the one thing most people cling to. Society teaches you that your heart should lead, but that's a dangerous game. When you let your emotions control you, you become vulnerable to manipulation, to failure, to disappointment. And here's the truth. Emotions make you reactive, impulsive, easy to manipulate. There's no wisdom in that, only chaos. In a world that constantly encourages emotional expression, the real challenge is learning to detach from those impulses. When you step back, you gain perspective. You begin to see the bigger picture, the consequences of your actions before they unfold. Emotional detachment isn't about shutting yourself off from feelings. It's about gaining control over them. It's about using them, not letting them use you. And here's the paradox. The more you disconnect from your emotions, the more control you gain over them. Think about it. If you react emotionally to everything, you lose your power. You are no longer the driver of your own life. But when you hold back, when you let your mind take charge, you can act strategically, in a way that serves your long-term goals. But this shift isn't something that happens overnight. It's a practice, a daily effort to detach from your impulses, to pause before responding. The truth is, you're not your emotions. They are signals, not commands. You are the observer, the one who watches without being swept away. When you learn to separate yourself from your feelings, you no longer let them dictate your reality. You can face challenges with a clear mind because you've trained yourself to be unaffected by the noise of your emotions. This doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop letting your feelings control you. And once you make that shift, you start to see the world through a different lens, one that is not clouded by fear, anger, or desire. Imagine walking into any situation with a calm, collected mind. No matter what's happening around you, you remain unaffected. You don't get rattled when someone disrespects you. You don't panic when things go wrong. You simply assess, think, and act. This ability to remain calm in the face of adversity is where true power lies. It's not in being loud, in seeking validation, or in reacting to every external stimulus. True power is quiet, it's steady. It's in the ability to stand firm while the world around you trembles. And it's a skill you can cultivate. If this way of thinking resonates with you, if you're choosing discipline over impulse and clarity over reaction, subscribe. Not just to follow a channel, but to strengthen the mindset that helps you stay steady while the world around you loses control. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Our minds often exaggerate our emotional responses. We catastrophize, we spiral, we imagine worst-case scenarios, and all of this drains our energy and clouds our judgment. But what if you could stop yourself in those moments of panic, and instead of letting the emotion take over, you paused? What if you could replace fear with clarity, worry with action? By refusing to engage in the emotional turmoil, you begin to shape your reality. You stop the endless cycles of overthinking, and you start making decisions from a place of peace. That's the shift I'm talking about, turning away from the emotional noise that surrounds you and stepping into a space where only your rational mind reigns. It's in this space that you make the best decisions, the ones that move you forward instead of pulling you back. The more you practice this detachment, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, it becomes second nature. You stop reacting and you start responding with purpose. But detachment doesn't mean isolation. It doesn't mean you stop caring. In fact, it's the opposite. By learning to detach emotionally, you begin to care about the things that truly matter. You become more focused, more intentional with your actions, because your energy is no longer wasted on fleeting emotions. You stop getting swept up in the drama of life, and you start to see everything more clearly. And in that clarity, you find the ability to make your next move with precision and power. Imagine waking up every day knowing that your emotions won't control you, that no matter what happens, whether you face rejection, failure, or success, you'll stay steady. You won't be the leaf tossed around by the wind. Instead, you'll be the tree, standing firm and strong. This is what emotional detachment can give you, the ability to stand your ground, no matter the storm. And when you can do that, you unlock your true potential. You stop being a victim of your circumstances and become the creator of your own destiny. So, where do you start? It begins with awareness. Start noticing when your emotions are driving your actions. When you feel anger rising, stop and ask yourself, why am I reacting this way? What's the deeper fear or desire behind this feeling? By questioning your emotions, you begin to separate yourself from them. You create space between the feeling and the response, and in that space, you gain control. This isn't about shutting off your emotions or pretending they don't exist. It's about seeing them for what they are: temporary, fleeting, and often misleading. When you stop giving them so much power, you give yourself the freedom to act from a place of clarity and strength. You stop being at the mercy of your emotional impulses, and instead, you become the one who decides how to respond. This is how you win, by mastering yourself, by controlling your reactions, and by taking ownership of your life. When you stop reacting, when you stop letting every small setback throw you off course, you become stronger. It's like a storm that can't touch the ground. Think of a ship in the middle of a storm. The waves crash, the winds howl, but the ship stays steady, cutting through the waves because it has a strong rudder. That's what emotional detachment gives you. It gives you a rudder. It keeps you on course, no matter how fierce the winds are. Emotions will come and go, like waves, but you don't have to be swept away by them. You don't have to be tossed around. Instead, you learn to navigate, to steer your life with precision. You start to see every challenge as an opportunity to practice this skill. Every moment of tension, every moment of doubt, is just a chance for you to anchor yourself deeper. The less you let your emotions control you, the more you control the direction of your life. The key here is consistency. Emotional detachment isn't a skill you master once and then forget about. It's a constant practice, a daily choice to remain calm, to stay grounded no matter what happens. Life will test you, people will challenge you, but with every test you have a choice. Will you react emotionally, or will you stay steady? Will you let the world dictate how you feel, or will you take charge of how you respond? This doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you don't let those feelings drive your actions. You acknowledge them, but you don't act on them immediately. You take a moment, you breathe, and you respond with intention. This gives you an edge that most people will never have. You become the one in control, the one who isn't easily swayed, the one who is prepared for anything. Most people live their lives in reaction to the world. They feel the ups and downs, and they let those emotions decide their fate. But when you detach from those reactions, you free yourself from the whims of the world. You don't have to follow the emotional roller coaster that others are on. You can stay steady, stay focused, and stay true to your path. This is what allows you to move through life with purpose. When you detach from the constant pull of emotions, you create the space to think clearly, to make better decisions, and to keep moving forward no matter what obstacles come your way. You stop being a victim of circumstance, and you become the master of your own destiny. But this doesn't come easily. It requires practice, self-awareness, and a willingness to face the discomfort of not reacting. It's hard at first. You'll want to respond immediately when something triggers you, but the more you practice, the easier it becomes. You learn to pause before you act. You learn to let go of the need for validation, for approval, and for certainty. You start to understand that you don't need to control everything around you. You just need to control how you respond to it. The world can be as chaotic as it wants to be, but you have the power to remain calm in the center of it all. Epictetus once said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." This simple truth is at the core of emotional detachment. You don't need to control the world, you need to control yourself. Your reactions are the only things you truly own in this world, and when you learn to control them, you can control your life. It's a liberating feeling, knowing that no matter what happens, you have the power to remain steady. You don't have to be swept away by the world. You can choose to stand firm, no matter what storm is raging around you. As you continue to detach from your emotions, you'll notice something remarkable happening. You start to make better decisions. You stop letting fear or anxiety cloud your judgment. You stop making decisions based on what feels good in the moment, and you start making decisions based on what will serve your long-term goals. This is where the real power lies. Most people live for the moment, making decisions based on how they feel right now. But when you detach from those feelings, you can make decisions with a clear mind, without the influence of immediate emotions. And that's when you start to win, because the people who can think clearly, who can act without being driven by their feelings, are the ones who succeed. This isn't about being emotionless. It's about mastering your emotions, not letting them control you. It's about choosing when to feel and when to stay focused. Emotional detachment is not a lack of emotion. It's the ability to act without being controlled by it. It's the freedom to respond to life's challenges with clarity and purpose. It's the power to take control of your life, no matter what's happening around you. And once you've mastered this, you'll realize that nothing can stop you. Not fear, not anger, not frustration. You become unshakable. The practice of emotional detachment is an ongoing process. It takes time, but with each step, you'll find yourself more centered, more focused, and more in control. You'll stop reacting to the world, and instead, you'll start shaping it. You'll move through life with purpose, knowing that you are the one in charge, and that is where true power lies. But how do you achieve this emotional detachment? It starts with understanding your own biology. Your brain is wired to react, to feel, to follow your impulses. Evolution didn't design you to thrive in the modern world. It designed you to survive. Your ancestors didn't need to plan years ahead. They needed to react quickly to threats, whether it was an animal, another tribe, or a changing environment. The problem is, your brain's ancient wiring doesn't serve you anymore. It's like outdated software running on a powerful computer. It's glitching. In today's world, those survival instincts don't help you navigate business meetings or personal growth. Instead, they hold you back. Fear no longer protects you from lions. It holds you back from making tough decisions. Anxiety no longer helps you survive. It keeps you stuck in place, hesitating when you should be moving forward. The fight or flight response isn't suited for everyday life anymore. It's a hindrance. And this is why you must fight against your own biology. You must learn to turn off that emotional response and stay in control. It's not easy. Your instincts have been honed over millions of years, but they aren't always helpful now. Take fear, for instance. In the past, it was a powerful tool. It kept you alert. It made you act quickly to avoid danger. But now, fear often surfaces in situations where no danger exists, like starting a new project or asking for what you deserve. It paralyzes you, feeding you worst-case scenarios. The trick is not to ignore fear, but to acknowledge it and move forward anyway. The more you learn to control your reactions, the more power you have over your life. This control is not about suppressing your emotions. That would only create inner conflict. Instead, it's about recognizing your emotions for what they are: biological signals, not commands. These signals aren't supposed to dictate your behavior, but too often they do. That's where the real work begins, observing your emotions without getting swept away by them. The less you let them rule your decisions, the more you control your life. Once you understand that your mind is working with outdated software, you can begin to reprogram it. You can begin to see your emotions as tools, not as masters. And this shift in perspective is what makes all the difference. Once you detach emotionally, you begin to think with clarity. You stop reacting to every bump in the road. Instead, you start analyzing situations with a calm mind. It's like stepping out of the chaos and into the driver's seat. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes time and practice. But every moment you don't react emotionally, you strengthen your ability to stay calm in the face of adversity. You start making decisions with intention, not impulse. This doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop letting feelings decide your actions. It's a powerful way to live, and it's what allows you to navigate life's challenges with grace. As you begin to master your emotions, you'll notice a shift in the way you approach life. You stop overreacting to things that used to send you into a spiral. You stop worrying about what others think. You stop letting fear make your decisions for you. It's not about denying your feelings. It's about not letting them dictate your choices. You realize that you are not a slave to your impulses, but the master of your own actions. This is the power of emotional detachment. It's not coldness or indifference. It's the ability to stay grounded no matter what happens around you. It's the strength to make decisions based on what's right, not on what you feel in the moment. This mindset will take you further than any emotional response ever could. In a world where most people are reacting to their emotions constantly, those who remain calm, controlled, and calculated will stand out. They will rise above the noise. The more you practice emotional detachment, the more you will realize that the world does not control you. You control how you experience the world. And this is the ultimate freedom, the ability to choose how you respond to whatever life throws your way. When you stop reacting impulsively, you open the door to a more intentional, more empowered way of living. The journey to emotional detachment is not easy, but it's worth it. As you learn to observe your emotions without acting on them, you begin to free yourself from the chaos of emotional reactivity. You stop being tossed around by life's storms and start navigating them with purpose. This is not a passive way of living, it's an active choice. It's a decision to take control of your reactions, to stay calm when everything else is in turmoil, and to make decisions based on logic, clarity, and long-term vision, not short-term feelings. The more you practice this, the more powerful you will become. It's the key to mastering yourself and your life. When you experience strong emotions, your brain literally shuts down your ability to think rationally. Your prefrontal cortex, responsible for logic and strategy, goes offline. You become an animal, reacting to stimuli, making decisions based on immediate feelings rather than long-term strategy. This is where most people fall short. They let their emotions take the wheel, and that's when they make mistakes. When you're angry, scared, or anxious, you're not thinking about the consequences of your actions. You're simply reacting to the immediate stimulus in front of you, and that's dangerous. The truth is, we all experience moments of intense emotion, and in those moments, it's easy to lose sight of what's important. We start making decisions driven by the need to feel better right now, even though those decisions may lead to regret later. But here's the thing. Once you realize that your emotions can hijack your decision-making, you can start to fight back. The people who rise above this, they've learned to keep their minds clear. They've learned to act without letting their feelings cloud their judgment. They've developed the ability to step outside of their emotions, to observe them without becoming consumed by them. This isn't about suppressing emotions or pretending they don't exist. It's about not allowing them to control you. It's about recognizing when your emotions are driving you and choosing not to let them dictate your actions. It's about having enough self-awareness to pause and ask yourself, am I reacting based on how I feel in this moment, or am I making a decision with a clear mind? The answer to that question can make all the difference in your success, your relationships, and your overall well-being. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. To accept yourself means acknowledging both your strengths and your weaknesses, your emotions and your rationality, without letting any of them dominate." This is the key to emotional detachment, not rejecting your feelings, but recognizing them without being controlled by them. When you can do this, you begin to experience true freedom. You are no longer a slave to your emotions. You are the one in control, making decisions based on logic and strategy, not fleeting impulses. And when you can remain calm, focused, and rational in the face of adversity, you will stand out. While others are reacting emotionally, you'll be making thoughtful, deliberate choices that move you closer to your goals. The process of emotional detachment begins with self-awareness. It starts with noticing when you're about to make a decision based solely on emotion. That moment of recognition is crucial. Once you become aware of how your emotions influence your choices, you can begin to interrupt that cycle. Instead of immediately reacting, you pause, you take a breath, you step back and evaluate the situation logically. This pause doesn't need to be long. It's just long enough to create space between the emotion and your response. In that space, you have the power to choose your actions intentionally, not out of habit or emotional impulse. This ability to detach allows you to handle conflict with a level head. When others are yelling, getting defensive, or arguing from a place of emotion, you can remain calm and focused. You're not drawn into the chaos. You're not swept up in the drama. You see things clearly and make decisions based on what will bring the best long-term result, not what will immediately soothe your feelings. It's a powerful way to live because it means you don't let the world push you around. You stay grounded no matter what's happening around you, and when you stay grounded, you can move forward with clarity, purpose, and control. This doesn't mean you suppress your emotions or pretend they don't exist. Emotions are a natural part of being human. They provide valuable information about our inner world and our reactions to the world around us. But the key is not letting them take over your decision-making process. When you learn to observe your emotions without being ruled by them, you free yourself from the constant pull of your feelings. You can experience them, acknowledge them, but not let them decide your actions. This is the practice of emotional detachment. When you stop letting your emotions control you, you stop being a slave to the whims of life. You stop being at the mercy of every passing feeling. Instead, you become the one who determines your course. You become the one who decides how to respond, who chooses how to act. This is where true freedom lies, in the ability to control your reactions, to stay grounded when everything else is falling apart, and to make decisions that align with your long-term vision, not your immediate emotional impulses. Emotional detachment isn't about denying your feelings. It's about using them, understanding them, and choosing to act with intention, no matter how strong the emotions may be. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes. It's a muscle that gets stronger with time. At first, it's difficult to separate your feelings from your actions, but with each moment of awareness, each decision made with clarity, you begin to build the habit of emotional control. And over time, this habit becomes second nature. Eventually, you reach a point where emotional detachment feels effortless. You no longer react impulsively. You act intentionally, with focus and purpose. This is where true strength lies. It's not in avoiding feelings, but in choosing how to respond to them. It's in taking control of your life and becoming the person who can navigate any situation with calm and clarity. This is the turning point. You must stop seeing your emotions as truth. Instead, start seeing them as noise. Emotions often feel so real, so immediate, like they are the most important thing in the world. But they're not. They're simply signals, like alarms ringing in your mind, but not necessarily indicating a real danger. Imagine yourself as a pilot flying through a storm. The instruments are going haywire. The alarms are blaring, warning of every potential risk. The amateur pilot panics, reacts impulsively, and crashes. The master pilot, however, remains calm. He doesn't listen to the chaos around him. He trusts his instruments, focuses on the horizon, and lands the plane. That's how you must approach your emotions. They will scream in your ear, telling you to act immediately, to react, to do something. But in those moments, you must become the master pilot. Instead of letting your emotions take the wheel, you must stay calm, focused on your course, and make decisions with a clear mind. Your emotions are not the truth of the situation. They are just noise, trying to pull you off track. It's easy to get lost in the noise, to mistake the noise for guidance. But once you realize that emotions are not facts, they're simply your mind's response to the world, you can choose to navigate life with clarity, rather than being swept away by every emotional storm. The challenge here is to learn to listen to your emotions without letting them dictate your actions. Think about the times when you've made decisions based on your feelings, maybe out of anger, fear, or excitement. How often did those decisions lead to the results you truly wanted? Often, acting from a place of emotion leads to regret, because emotions cloud our judgment. But when you learn to observe your feelings without reacting immediately, you regain control. You start to make decisions based on what you truly want, not what you're feeling in the moment. This practice of emotional detachment doesn't mean you become numb or insensitive to the world around you. It means you stop letting emotions hijack your decisions. You start making choices based on your long-term vision, not short-term emotional reactions. You begin to see your emotions as temporary experiences that don't have to dictate your behavior. This creates a profound sense of freedom. You are no longer a slave to your feelings. You are the one in charge. The world around you may be chaotic, but you can choose to remain steady. You don't have to be swept away by every emotional current. The key here is creating that space between your emotions and your actions. Most people react to their feelings, but you can learn to observe them without reacting. By doing so, you stop living in reaction and start living with intention. It's like creating a buffer between yourself and the world. When someone criticizes you, instead of reacting with anger or defensiveness, you can step back and assess the situation calmly. When fear arises, instead of letting it stop you in your tracks, you can recognize it and move forward anyway. This ability to pause, to observe, and then act with purpose is what separates those who are controlled by their emotions from those who control their actions. This doesn't happen by accident. It takes practice and awareness. The more you practice emotional detachment, the more natural it becomes. At first, it will feel difficult. Emotions are powerful forces, and it's hard to separate yourself from them, but over time, you'll find that you are less controlled by them and more in control of yourself. The more you observe your feelings without acting on them immediately, the clearer your thinking becomes. You stop being driven by impulsive reactions, and you start making decisions with wisdom and clarity. The world will continue to throw challenges your way, and your emotions will continue to respond. But when you develop the skill of emotional detachment, you begin to see these challenges not as threats, but as opportunities to practice. Each time you remain calm, each time you make a decision without being driven by emotion, you reinforce your ability to stay steady in any situation. You develop a resilience that allows you to handle life's ups and downs with grace and poise. Emotional detachment isn't about being distant or cold. It's about being clear. It's about living intentionally without being swept away by the emotional currents around you. It's about seeing life with clarity and making decisions from a place of wisdom rather than fear, anger, or desire. This is the freedom that comes with mastering your emotions, the ability to be in the world without being controlled by it. You can navigate the storm with calm, and you can stay on course no matter what happens around you. Once you learn to detach emotionally, life becomes much simpler. You stop getting caught up in unnecessary drama. You stop reacting to every slight, every challenge, and every moment of discomfort. Instead, you see everything for what it is, an opportunity to grow, to practice, and to make better choices. When you feel anger rising, you acknowledge it and move forward without acting on it. When fear surfaces, you recognize it and choose to act anyway. This doesn't mean you're immune to emotions. It means you're no longer ruled by them. You become the observer, and that is where true power lies. Hope is paralyzing. It keeps you waiting, trapped in a cycle of if only and maybe someday. But while you're sitting around waiting for something to happen, life is passing you by. The difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck is not that the successful ones have better luck, but that they take action. They don't rely on hope to pull them through. They rely on their ability to act decisively, to adapt, and to keep moving forward, no matter what. This shift from hoping to acting is what separates the dreamers from the doers. Successful people take ownership of their journey. They don't wait for things to change. They change things themselves. They understand that every decision, every step is an opportunity to move closer to where they want to be. Mastering your emotions is crucial to this transformation. If your emotions are constantly in control, you will always be reacting to life rather than shaping it. Emotions are powerful, and they can certainly fuel your motivation in the short term. But when they dictate your actions, you become a slave to them. When you act on impulse, driven by fear, excitement, or frustration, you're not thinking clearly. You're not making decisions with foresight. Instead, you're letting the moment control you. This is why learning to detach from your emotions is key. When you do, you stop being tossed around by every wave of feeling. You stop waiting for things to happen. You take action, even when it's uncomfortable. The truth is, your mind is your most powerful tool. When you control your mind, you control your life. Emotions are temporary, fleeting. They come and go. But your mind, your ability to think clearly and act strategically, can remain constant. The key to success is not in being emotionally driven, but in being strategically driven. It's about having a clear vision of where you want to go and making the necessary decisions to get there, regardless of the emotional noise around you. When you make decisions based on logic and long-term goals, you're acting with intention, not reaction. And it's this kind of thinking that drives success. It's easy to fall into the trap of waiting for things to happen. We've all done it. We wait for the right moment, for the stars to align, for the conditions to be perfect. But the truth is, there will never be a perfect moment. Life is unpredictable, and circumstances will always change. So if you're waiting for everything to be just right before you take action, you'll be waiting forever. The only thing you can control is your ability to act. And the more you act with intention, the more you shape the future you want for yourself. When you stop relying on hope and start relying on action, you shift your focus from the external to the internal. You stop waiting for something outside of you to change, and you start focusing on what you can control. You become the creator of your own reality. Every decision you make, every step you take, becomes a part of the path you're carving. No longer are you a passenger in your own life. You're the driver. And when you're the one behind the wheel, you can steer yourself wherever you want to go. This shift in mindset isn't easy. It takes practice. It takes discipline. But it's worth it. When you stop hoping and start acting, you'll begin to see the results. You'll start moving closer to your goals, and you'll start feeling more in control of your life. And with each step you take, you'll realize just how powerful you really are. When you act with purpose, when you make decisions based on long-term strategy, you begin to shape your own future. And that's when the real transformation happens. You stop being a passive player in your life, and you start becoming the architect of your own destiny. It's time to stop hoping. It's time to stop waiting. It's time to start acting. Every step you take, no matter how small, is a step closer to where you want to be. The future isn't something that happens to you. The future is something you create. And the moment you stop waiting for things to happen and start making them happen yourself, that's when you'll truly begin to experience the power of action. As you begin to detach, to feel nothing, you'll find that the world becomes a game. The emotional turbulence that once defined your reactions becomes less of a burden, and instead of feeling swept away by life's chaotic moments, you begin to glide through them. Your emotions will no longer dictate your moves. You will no longer react impulsively, driven by fear, excitement, or frustration. Instead, you will approach life with a calm, calculated precision, choosing your responses deliberately. This doesn't mean shutting off your ability to feel. It means taking control of those feelings. It's about understanding that your emotions are transient, that they come and go, but your ability to choose how you act remains constant. When you learn to detach, you don't lose your connection to the world. You gain the ability to see it clearly. You see what most people can't: the calm beneath the storm, the clarity amid the chaos. The chaos of life won't overwhelm you. It will be there, of course. Life is unpredictable, challenging, and full of obstacles, but you will embrace it, knowing that in the stillness there is clarity. You will no longer be disturbed by every little setback or disappointment. Instead, you will recognize that these are just parts of the game. They are not personal attacks or moments of failure. They are opportunities. While others are lost in panic or frustration, you will stay focused, observing the situation from a distance, analyzing it with the coolness of a strategist. Life won't be something that happens to you. It will be something you navigate with intention. You will see opportunities where others see threats. While others are drowning in emotional reactions, you will remain calm, and in that calm, you will be able to identify paths they overlook, solutions they miss, and strategies they don't even consider. This shift in perspective isn't just a mental trick, it's a way of life. Once you've detached from your emotions, once you've learned to let go of the constant need for external validation or emotional release, you step into a space of complete control. You stop being a victim of your circumstances, and instead, you start to see the ways in which you can influence them. You move with purpose, unaffected by the distractions around you. You become the observer, watching the world unfold, and in that observation, you find your power. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." This process of detaching from your emotions, of mastering your mind and your reactions, is part of that journey. It's the journey toward becoming the best version of yourself, one who is not controlled by fleeting feelings, but guided by rational thought and deliberate action. In this space, you are free. Free from the whims of your emotions, free from the need for approval. And because of this, you become unstoppable. Your clarity gives you a sharp edge that others don't have. It's a level of mental and emotional discipline that allows you to act with purpose in situations where others might falter. As you move further into this state of detachment, you'll start to realize that you are no longer dependent on anything outside of you. You don't need validation, success, or approval to feel fulfilled. When you stop needing things from the world, you start to control the world. The person who feels nothing, who needs nothing, is the one who controls everything. This isn't about being cold or indifferent, it's about freedom. It's about being untethered, about not being at the mercy of the world's chaos. When you don't need things to be a certain way, you can face any challenge with the confidence that you can handle it, no matter the outcome. This level of detachment is not something that happens overnight. It's a process, a constant practice of observing your emotions without reacting. It takes time, patience, and a willingness to confront your feelings without letting them dictate your behavior. But as you practice, you'll start to notice subtle shifts. You'll stop reacting to life's little irritations. You'll stop worrying about things that don't matter. You'll find that you can sit in discomfort without feeling overwhelmed by it. And slowly, this detachment will become second nature. The power of detachment is not in its coldness, but in its clarity. You are no longer distracted by the noise. You are no longer swept away by the drama of life. You can see the world as it is, not through the lens of your emotions. This gives you a massive advantage over everyone else. While most people are too busy reacting to life to see opportunities, you'll be able to spot them clearly. Where others see risk, you'll see potential. Where they see obstacles, you'll see ways forward. This is the quiet power that comes from emotional detachment. It's not about ignoring life or avoiding challenges. It's about facing them with the confidence that you are in control. This doesn't mean you become numb to life's challenges. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It means that you care from a place of strength, not weakness. It means that your decisions are no longer ruled by emotional impulses, but by clear, rational thinking. It's the difference between reacting to life and responding to it with intention. When you master this, nothing can touch you. Life can throw its worst at you, but you'll be unshaken. You'll be the calm in the storm, the strategist in the chaos, the person who remains steady while others lose their heads. As you embrace this mindset, you'll find that you begin to thrive in situations that once felt overwhelming. You'll navigate challenges with grace and purpose. You won't be thrown off course by criticism, failure, or disappointment. Instead, you'll use these experiences to refine your approach and move forward. When you detach emotionally, you stop being reactive and start being strategic. You begin to shape your own destiny, unaffected by the things that used to hold you back. This is the kind of power that can't be taken away. It's the power of being in control of your emotions, your reactions, and your decisions. It's the power of seeing the world not through the lens of fear or excitement, but through the lens of clarity and strategy. And once you have this power, nothing can stop you. The world will continue to throw its chaos at you, but you'll remain steady, focused, and ready to take on whatever comes next. Because when you can detach from your emotions, you become unstoppable. Remember, true power lies in your ability to stay calm amidst the chaos. When you detach from your emotions, you unlock a strength most people will never know. You become the master of your own life, no longer at the mercy of the world around you. Embrace that power, and you'll be unstoppable. Thank you for being a part of Stoic Journal. If this resonated with you, dive even deeper. Watch the next video on the screen. Keep growing, keep evolving.